Welcome back, everyone, from behind the paywall. It's time to go racing for the Indy Karting Challenge here from K1 Circuit Whiteland. Round number 2 continues in the midst of a heavy rainstorm. It's time for the heat races for the following classes: 206 Cadet, 206 Sportsman, 206 Masters, 206 Junior, and 206 Light. Here on Kart Chaser. Just Prince alongside Nate Dean as we are all set for our first grouping to get themselves rolling in the next little bit here, Nate. It is raining heavily out there. Seen from the qualifying sessions that these drivers are looking very sporty here. They look to see how they're going to fare in the very rainy conditions.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying in these conditions is one thing. Racing in them is going to be difficult indeed. Enjoying the little bit of shelter they have now underneath the canopy here. But number 12, I believe that would be Fox. Last session in qualifying got DQ'd. He was the driver that was on pole. So just learning about this now. So him getting relegated further down the field than he was expected to start. Just taking a quick look at the starting grid there, Justin, and I believe so. That is unfortunate for him to try and start off his race weekend like that. Well, at least the second half of the day. But with the fields as they are and the tricky conditions, it's never too late for drivers to make their way up through the field, and we certainly saw a lot of that earlier on in the morning.
Yeah, that's unfortunate there for the 12. Just got the word that the DQ coming for the last session. We've seen some drivers like Lynch do very well in the last session as well. So we'll get the orders confirmed once they go through said running orders after their respective qualifying sessions. As we get ready for our respective heat races coming up here. Again, due up here, Fox, then Waite, then Ari Berger, then Bo Laser, then Patrick Neely, Miles Hale, and Harper Smith. The ones due up in this next grouping of drivers the next little bit here. And we talked a little bit about the rainy conditions where what was expected to be factoring in. Now that it's raining sideways, but also raining very thickly here. How does that really factor in with how difficult this rain is going to make it grip-wise in these races now that we have the field going to be side by side, multiple rows deep once we get going here?
Yeah, I mean, the grip will fall off a little bit. It's not too much that what you would expect, at least in rain conditions. A lot of this is just going to be avoiding puddles, avoiding potentially aquaplaning, and just the visibility is going to be a huge thing of following other karts. That's going to be a little tricky. For the cadet drivers, it should be a little bit easier, though. Obviously not as big of a tread pattern and as big of a tire on the rears of these machineries that won't kick up as much spray. So it's a little bit easier for our cadet and sportsman drivers. But once we get up to the junior and the lights and those big 710 rears, 6.0 rears, excuse me, that's when it starts to get a little bit difficult to be able to see the driver in front of you.
Yeah, it's going to be very tricky once these drivers get going here. They still have a bit more time before the command gets going, it looks like. There's no one at the front gate quite yet to be able to release these drivers into the racetrack, into the racing surface yet here for this one. And so in this upcoming class here, who are you watching for the most in this race, especially with the way the cadets looked in qualifying, where it was a 0.7 of a second difference up at the front of the board there. Who are you watching out for the most in 206 Cadet?
Yeah, I think Waite, obviously inheriting pole, is going to be one to look out for. He was there or thereabouts in some sections on the track compared to James Fox, who, like we said, got that disqualification for post-race for post-session qualifying inspection. He's going to be starting 7th. I wouldn't be fully surprised to see if James Fox could pull off a win in this pre-final. That's still 6 karts to get by in tricky conditions and what is a fairly short heat race in the grand scheme of things. But it's a bit of a cop-out answer, but the pole sitter and the driver starting last are going to be the ones to look out for me.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here once we get going, once we get the official gridding to go for these drivers. So, looks like some of the team members just giving some final checks before they get going and before they get onto the racetrack. So some pics for the social media, it looks like, too, as they get the scramble to get ready to go here. Top carts up to the front of the field before they get going. For these drivers, it looks like they're getting ready to open up those gates as they fire up those engines. And it's all sorts of scrambling to make sure they are ready to go for this field. So it can confirm it is James Fox who will not be up at the front of the field. It will be Waite and Berger who are up at the front of this pack. Now come onto the racing surface as they all hit the racetrack together to get ready to go zoom as a pack in 206 Cadet.
Yeah, you have to almost wonder if James Fox was okay not starting pole, because those front two drivers were getting wet the entire time. They were just sitting in their karts, not being able to reap the rewards of that canopy. So start on the second or third row doesn't seem too bad if you're in their shoes. There you see the 206 Cadet field rolling on track, and I might be wrong, but I see a lack of a number 12 top cart who was scheduled to start on pole and had that post-session DQ.
Getting all doubled up for the tram lines, and they're not even close to set up there. As Fox tried to zip around everybody and retake his position, I believe, here. And now they are telling Fox, you need to be at the back of the field, not at the front. So it looks like there is some confusion there for the 12 cart in terms of where they're supposed to be. As now, field stays now doubled up and now sprints away. Believe they'll have to go down or around again here. They did not get the green flag, don't think, there.
I mean, it looks like they're going in anger right now, Justin. So it's an interesting start, to say the least. But I think we're racing for 206 Cadet in this pre-final. I was wrong. Like you said, Fox did make his way out on track, but it seemed like there was confusion of where he was starting. Got that call fairly late from K1 Circuit Whiteland officials in the official Discord channel posting results. But we're racing. We're on track. Everyone's there. So Fox is definitely going to be one to look out for, who's already made up a couple of positions so far. I believe he's going to be crossing the line in third here, as he will. So that is last of third on just the opening lap. And now, Justin, only two more karts to get by for Fox if he wants a chance to try and get this win.
Yes, indeed. Can confirm now with the clock rolling. They did take the green flag. It looked like there was some confusion there with some of the drivers stopped there. But Fox now tries to go on the charge. Now looking for second. Berger tries to squeeze. They make contact. Berger making some side pod contact that time with Fox. Fox now looks to cross him up, trying to set him up to make a pass as they stay in the grouping together. Fox not able to make the move quite yet, but he still has the pace absolutely to get places, to make some moves.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Not starting where he wanted to, but he's got the pace to get the job done. So those stuck behind Ari Berger for the time being. But obviously with the pace of Fox, we're expecting that move to come in the next couple of laps. As heading down the back straightaway into 7. Maybe we see it again here. That's laid on the brakes from Fox. Goes way wide to take that second spot. Berger is going to come right back, steaming through on the inside of turn 8. Try to get it done. Another crossover between these two into turn 9. Fox will try and cross over again on the exit of turn 9. Onto the front straightaway they go. They'll go side by side. Now, they'll have to be careful about going side by side in turns 1 and 2, and they do back out of that because obviously, like we saw earlier on in the morning session, side by side in the 1 and 2, especially in the rain, does not work. But there, Fox gets the position. So that is James Fox up into second. Now, Grayson Waite will have the number 12 Top Kart closing in on him in the next couple of laps. That being said, though, Waite, purple last time across the stripe.
Yeah, now we'll see, though, what happens with Fox potentially getting a chance to be unleashed here after some of this battling here. It's going to be interesting what's going to happen over the next minute and 50 seconds amongst these drivers and the line. They're still in this group 2 with the way things look. At the moment, Fox still in the 3rd spot. Now 2nd spot, should correct myself, and this line. So, that time by purple for Fox. James Fox is flying up like a fox unleashed from a box. It's now within 5 kart lengths. Now it's 4. Now it's 3. Fox is closing at a rapid pace down the straightaway. It's down to under a kart length. He's on the back end of the 5 kart.
Yeah, an impressive run out of turn 5 and turn 6, which is that banked corner in the back corner of the track, to be able to close in so much on Waite out in the lead. It was 9/10 last time by. It's going to be something much smaller, maybe even a lead change as they come across the line. What becomes 9/10 becomes 0.08 of a second in this battle for the lead in 206 Cadet with about 3 laps to go. Seriously heating up, and I wouldn't count out Ari Berger to 1.4 seconds back, but if anything happens to these front 2 or if they battle too hard, could be a 3-way battle for the lead.
Side by side for the race lead. Fox going for the pass. Sends it in front, completes the move, and it's James Fox that's now gone for the back to the front to take over the race lead in this heat with under 10 seconds to go on the clock. A speedy time for the 12 kart. We'll see if they get the 2 to go signal or not. It's going to be within a couple seconds. Yes, indeed, there's the signal. Couple laps to go as Fox has indeed been able to drive his way through the field to the point. Now he's got to make sure no spins.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw that a lot, especially in the pre-finals and a little bit into the finals, but where everyone kind of got settled down. But just because you're out in the lead doesn't mean you can lay off the gas pedal that much. You still have to make sure you're hitting your lines, hitting your marks, not dropping a tire in any which way. You got to not have those silly little mistakes that can cost you a race win, because Fox definitely does not want to do the last to first challenge again in the final.
I think most people don't want to do that challenge again, but the white flag is out. It's the final time around. Grayson Waite now 2nd, Berger in 3rd position on track. Patrick McNeely's also gone up to the 4th position as time's gone on in the other pack, by the way. That's 12 seconds back, your race leader. But up front, Fox absolutely flying with fastest laps up to a second quicker than the rest of the field last time by. He'll come across this time by to complete things here. Coming up to the checkered flag. Berger trying to close up for 2nd. Going to run out of time as they go out through the final corner. Coming to the checkered flag, it's James Fox that goes from back to front to win the heat race in 206 Cadet.
How about it? We talked about it earlier in the race when they were getting gridded up. Wouldn't be surprised if Fox was able to do it, and proved us right that was able to go from last to first, making that job in the final just that little bit easier for the number 12 kart. There you can see your unofficial results for the 206 Cadet classes. They will clear the track. They're still doing ready racing here today, so the second that final kart is off track, we are getting going with the 206 Sportsman division in just a few short moments' time.
We see those drivers now getting lined up and ready to go off and away in the garage area. They all get prepared to go zipping and zooming around once again in Sportsman. There were 4 drivers in the qualifying session in Sportsman, by the way. For their drivers, those drivers included Daniel Dragonoff, Lincoln Willie, Chase Call, Blake Martinez, or those drivers in their respective session. Now we'll get prepared for them to go on the racetrack. 48.6s were their personal best. They're onto the racetrack now for their respective run. For Sportsman points, by the way, Will Feinsteiner came in today as the points leader in 206 Sportsman. Daniel Garrett, Alum Stoner, amongst some of the top drivers in those standings. Interesting enough for the championship side of things, Nate, most of the names in the championship standings from the opening round of the season are not here today. So, for the most part, the point standings aren't going to be a major talking point. It's just going to be about the raw pace of the karts themselves from the drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick point before we go green here. A lot of the drivers that were up front last weekend do some national racing programs, of course, with the Stars Championship Series going next week. Some of them might be saving their equipment for that race over in Charlotte.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time in Charlotte next week here on Kart Chaser. Be sure to tune in then for these drivers to see what they can do. Now, it's time to go racing. Green, green, green. We're underway for Sportsman. As off and away, Daniel Dragonoff, who pulled away by a sizable margin earlier, holds on in front as they go lined up astern for the rest of the pack.
Yeah, Dragonoff back out in front where he's been comfortable today thus far. Already building that gap over Lincoln Wiley in that second spot. We'll have to see if Lincoln's able to hold with Dragonoff, which is something that the Mini Swift drivers weren't able to do, which of course are also in this race, that being Chase Call and Blake Martinez, currently running in 3rd and 4th. You can see them in the back there. As there you go, way wide, lose a little bit of time to the front twos. Dragonoff will cross the timing and scoring line. We'll get us a glimpse of how good that first lap was. It was a heater from him. 1 second advantage goes the way of Daniel Dragonoff.
Not a bad start for the 151 Kart over Lincoln Willie at the moment. Chase Call and Blake Martinez at the back of the grouping. Of note, Martinez is amongst the drivers who was here last time out in the series. He's in line potentially for a solid points day already. 38 car, never mind. There's some troubles there for Martinez on cue. Martinez gets some assistance to keep on going as he loses touch to the rest of the pack as a result here of that situation.
Yeah, unfortunate for Martinez. Not the race day he would have wanted in Mini Swift, but potentially looked like there could be maybe a podium result here in 206 Sportsman. It's going to make his day a little bit more difficult. He was obviously running in that 4th spot to begin with. He stays in that 4th spot since there's only those 4 drivers in the class, but just a little bit of frustration there for Martinez. He's going to have to shake that one off before they go on track for the final.
Yeah, you see the angles on how they're driving around the racetrack at the moment, by the way. With these puddles and with the hydroplaning that can build up around this racetrack. Seen that right there with Call nearly carried off the racetrack with the rain that time around. Not as big an advantage as compared to earlier for Dragonoff, by the way, in this kart. But it's still good pace for the 151, 3 seconds up over the rest of the field at the moment. We've seen
the drive, not as much power to tame underneath you. So we're expecting the field to be a little bit closer to Daniel, but was also thinking that Dragonoff would be the driver to beat. And Again, we're right on that one. As you can see, Martinez is going to most likely go a lap down here. You saw him just out of shot as Dragunov makes his way out of turn 6 with about a minute 25 to go, and then of the 2 laps added on at the end. Still some more time for Dragunov to build that gap to Lincoln in second, and then, of course, Chase Call, driver running in third.
Just have about a minute to go in this race with how things are looking. Potential of lap traffic, in fact, as Martinez lost a fair bit of time compared to your race leader on the circuit. Still need to close things out to be able to get a good finish, though, in this one, as the absolute rooster tails are popping up out from underneath these wheels at this point, and we're starting to get some big puddling built up on parts of this racetrack. See how long they're able to keep on zipping around in these conditions like this with how the puddles are building up on the racetrack.
Yeah, and I think the racing line should be fine, but once we get to a couple of the other classes that have a bit more entries than this and have a bit more racing for the lead and for other positions, it could be interesting offline if those puddles continue to accumulate.
Yes. Time is reaching zeros this time around. The field stays separated for now. Coming up to 2 laps to go, this time by for the field. As we'll see, as long as things stay stagnant, things look to be keeping calm, cool, and collected for these racers around the racetrack to be able to finish out strong in the respective classes here. So, should see that signal coming up here, up at the front of the field. The lead is 6 seconds. Willie holding on to second, Call holding on to third. Dragunov still your leader as double sticks are in the air. 2 laps to go.
Dry conditions to get that corner right off camber. Downhill, it's not very grippy, especially when it gets into the rainy conditions where what is a rubber, like a sealer patch at the apex of that corner becomes incredibly slick. So you'll see a lot of drivers doing a high line through there to completely avoid that. That being said, though, the spin isn't dampening Daniel Dragunov's spirits. White flag in the air. It's a 4.8 second gap being cut in half because of that spin, but it still looks like Daniel Dragunov should take the pre-final victory in 206 Sportsman.
Outright dominant pace yet again as he's trying to push as hard as he can and be able to build that buffer again. Just trying to draft his way around the racetrack. But all he has to do is get around the circuit for a couple more corners, and then he can celebrate a victory. Some of the other drivers you see like Martinez just in front of him in terms of lap traffic. That doesn't matter in terms of his case. Checker flag this time. It is Daniel Dragunov who takes the win in Sportsman and does so by at least 4.5, 5 seconds. The winning margin is 5.9 to be precise.
Yeah, the level of dominance we expected from Daniel Dragunov. Lincoln Wiley unable to get there in the end. I think Lincoln on his day, maybe in the dry, would have been able to hold with Daniel, but like we all say, the wet conditions are the great equalizer, and Dragunov just able to build that gap even after that spin to 5.9 seconds. Wiley in second, Call third, Martinez fourth. That's it for the cadet divisions. For pre-finals, we'll be moving up to the junior and senior ranks up next with the...
There they go. I'm not sure where we're exactly going to phrase things here because we only had 1 driver take part in qualifying. We had 4 drivers initially entered for today, but 3 of them are listed as DNSs. How do you treat this session if you are the 57?
It's an interesting one because it could go one of 2 ways. You can assume that the other two drivers will be joining you for the final and just didn't want to do qualifying and the heat race, so maybe try and get a leg up on them here, or you can take the green flag, do a lap, secure pole for the final, and not have to clean your kart as much. So, two very different options here.
Yeah, I don't even know if they entered the tram lines. Their green flag is out, and there is a transponder issue for this kart too. They don't have their name recorded on the systems. Believe this might be just a green-white checkered situation is what we may be hearing here. But believe this may be one of the drivers we've seen earlier on today in the racing. In terms of what we've seen in the Legends and Supermaster, this would be, believe, Chris Whitaker, if I've got the driver's suit correctly here.
Yeah, I believe you're right on that one, Justin. A little bit of a timing and scoring glitch on our end for driver ID, but Justin, I think you got that nail on the head with that suit identification. Yep, white flag in the air.
Yep. Final time around. Just has to support this qualifying run with some laps turned around. And obviously, it's understandable why it'd just be a green-white checkered situation with one kart. Because, obviously, if you have the kart on your own, then it's redundant on the lap count. You can say to turn 8 laps on your own. That counts as a practice or a test session. And technically, if you think about it that way. But this should close out this portion of the classes and already get us past the midway point in the afternoon heat races. Heat racing action going very quickly. Your heat race winner, once again, is the 57, the celebration on for Chris Whitaker in this one.
I mean, job done. Technically for Whitaker, kept it on track, didn't put it in the grass or anything, just got to dry it off a little bit and get ready for the final. Hopefully we see a couple more drivers in the main event, but we'll have 206 Junior on track now. As you can see there, Justin, it's really coming down from the sky here. It's just not relenting at all, is this rain.
Yeah, it is not at all keeping to the point where you would expect it to stay nice and calm. No. This is heavy rains here at the moment. We'll take a quick break from rainy Whiteland, Indiana. We'll take that break for the next moment or so. You're watching Kart Chaser.
Is for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website. That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental US.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
From a singular kart to a large kart class. It's 206 Junior, our fourth of 5 different heats on the docket. One of our largest classes today. Again, just sprints alongside Nate Dean here on Kart Chaser as we get ready for our next group of drivers. This includes Lucy Laser, then it's Thomas, Anthony, Evan Patton, Carson Benjamin, Jordan Lapham. Then it is Parker Dunn, Maximus Stewart, Seward should say. And then Nico Santos, rounds out the running order in this one. Numerous karts ready to see what they can do, and a lot of drivers were close on time in the qualifying session. This might be one of our more competitive ones of the day, if not most competitive battling. Green flag is out. We're underway for 206 Junior.
Getting through the opening couple of corners there nice and clean for probably the biggest class on the day. That was good on them to get through the cut through and down through 5. Mainly single files. They already start to fan out ever so slightly. I believe Laser out to an early lead on that new gen machine. Thomas Anthony following suit with Evan Patton, the two AMAX drivers following in second and third for the time being, making their way around to complete lap 1 as they exit turn 9 this time. You can just really see the rooster tails coming off of the karts there as potentially battle for the lead. Thomas Anthony is right there on Laser as they make their way through the cut through for the first time at full speed.
Yeah, all staying close together right now in this pack. Already trying to build up some draft now is Anthony. Anthony going for a cut right. He goes for the race lead side by side. Bit of a squeeze from Laser. Squished back by Anthony. Anthony slips his way into the race lead. And able to make the pass as the top 3 try and pull away. That was nicely done by Anthony. A bit of a squeeze, but able to handle it with no issue.
Thomas Anthony making the most of that opportunity, getting to the race lead. Free air, clean air in front of you is huge in rain racing, and Thomas Anthony has that massive advantage now over Lazier and Patton. Already starting to build a little bit of a gap. It was 0.6 of a second last time across the stripe, but Lazier and Patton obviously have the experience in the morning session in K1 Junior to know how to find time around this track. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see those two in as Anthony way wide there in turn 7. That's going to allow him to close in on the leader ever so slightly.
Ever much so in this one. But the battle is on more so second spot than it is for the lead right now. Patton keeping close as you see how wet it's getting down there from down below. All of them try to sort themselves out through the rooster tails. A poke now to the inside. Patton not even get alongside yet as Benjamin is starting to lose touch of them. And Anthony is starting to run away. Thomas Anthony looking very strong in the juniors at the moment. Mind you, last time out, it was A.J. Stoner who picked up the final victory over Evan Patton. Carson Benjamin had also been on the podium. Last time out, Thomas Anthony did not even score points in the final. A big change of events where Anthony was 12th last time out.
Yeah, less than optimal weekend for Thomas Anthony. The first weekend just seemed like he had issue after issue that was out of his control or just made a mistake here or there. Now, though, ironically enough, in even trickier conditions, he's really excelling on this field. Has that 1.5 second gap to work with to Lazier behind. He set fast time as well as Patton trying to get up the inside. This is for second, and to make it an AMAX 1-2, Lazer's going to really squeeze him to the inside lane. He's going to try the slingshot on Patton, but give that one to Evan Patton to make it an AMAX Racing 1-2 and the opening stages of the 206 Junior Day. But we only have about 4 laps remaining in this pre-final for the 206 Juniors. They'll cross the line with about 54 seconds left. It'll be 3 to go next time by. The clock will not run out next time they make it to the stripe. So a little bit more time for these juniors to potentially shake things up.
Just a little bit more, not too much time, but it's enough time to be able to battle for another 3 laps or so. You'd have to think next time by at the stripe. all that's wow. Anthony nearly skip-hopped his way all the way to the curbing, far side of the racetrack. Some more drivers swapping and sliding and swapping positions. Seeing them on screen go back in fourth. That is amongst the drivers, including Dunn, believe that you're going back and forth on the running order with how things are going at the moment. Time does reach zeros this time, but no signals there. That was Lapham and Dunn dropping down to sixth position in that battle on screen.
Yeah, battle for the front half of the field has kind of died off a little bit. We still got some battling further back. It seems like those podium spots are pretty much locked in for this one. Patton and Laser are still semi-close to each other. Laser finding about 200ths of a second last time by on the AMAX driver of Evan Patton. As Thomas Anthony, you can see there well out in front, is can't count out Carson Benjamin either. He's closing in on second and third with 2 to go this time by for our 206 junior drivers. We could have a battle for the top 3 here if Carson Benjamin on the Kubica kart can find a little bit more pace.
Just needs a bit more if he wants to get back in the podium positions like the last time out for him, where he did finish third in the final. Not close enough to do much right now, with Laser already slipping down into that third step on the podium for the time being. But we're coming up to the white flag this time around. Almost to that mark. As a little bit closer now for Benjamin coming up to the white flag. White flag is out. Final time around. Anthony leading by 3 seconds as the battle is on for second through fourth. Can Laser do anything to get alongside anyone? Oh, there's a big slide up the track from Patton. The answer is no for the time being, though. Patton, if anything, getting a better run after that run from the outside to be able to keep out of the puddles. Coming up towards the checker flag here for Anthony. Anthony putting on a strong race once again. Thomas Anthony works his way through the rain clouds and to the front to run away from the pack to win the heat race over his teammate Evan Patton. Thomas Anthony wins by more than 3 seconds. Laser and Benjamin also finished top 5 along with Lapham in that 5th position.
And that's what Thomas Anthony needed after not the weekend he would have wanted for the opening round of the IKC. Getting a pretty dominant win in one of the closest divisions we have here today. 3.5 seconds too is quite the statement as well, as it's an AMAX 1-2 here for 206 junior. We'll be moving on to the senior divisions here for 206 light. A couple of these drivers we saw in the morning sessions, Justin Brain-Heaver being one of them, who didn't quite have the qualifying he would have wanted, but a couple of new faces up there who will be battling for the win should make it exciting for 206 light.
This going to be your final heat grouping of this afternoon before we go straight into the finals already. And right now we are nearly on the point of where we were minute-wise on a normal schedule, just like that, based on the rotation it looks like here for these competitors. So, how are they grouped up here in senior light? Well, it's Jordan Lynch on the pole. It's Andrew Goldman second. Tyler Sims in third. Brendan Aber in fourth position. Colton Kelly in fifth. Zachary Allen in sixth. Levi Wilbur did not set a time in qualifying, is set for 7th spot if we do see that kart in the field. So it looks like we're ready to go racing. Looks like 6 karts all set. Green, green, green. 206 light is now on track, and we're underway for our 5th heat of the afternoon. Oh, and we're crashing. Heart of the field, that's Tyler Sims amongst those around. Our Kart is stuck in the grass. That appears to be Colton Kelly.
Yeah, that's Kelly out of the race early. Probably one of the messier starts we've seen so far today. Both of them coming in the form of 206 senior competition. Kelly is going to try and get going. It might be a little difficult to get that brakes to fire, as I think Kelly's getting out from that kart, and that'll be pre-final done for them. But back up at the front of the field, Braden Heber's made a little bit of time. He's now back up to second, making up some positions. But Logan Lynch continuing to lead the way in some very tricky conditions on what I believe is a Ricardo kart of what Lynch is running. That being said, Heber right there on the back end of Lynch. Potential move for the lead coming here, Justin.
Yeah, right now Heber putting on the pressure. Goes a little bit higher to be able to stay out of the raindrops put up by the 12 kart. Now trying to see if he can serve up a move on a platter. And right now you can see just how wide these drivers have to take it in the corners, especially the rhino line sections, to be able to try and stay out of the major puddles that are built up on the racetrack right now. Right now, Hebert working his way back inside, not even a poke alongside yet. And this is going to be the tough thing. The inside line is going to be very difficult to run in, as we've already seen. The 8 kart does not want to run inside. He prefers the far way around to be able to stay out of the heavy rain.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be an interesting dynamic we see here, because Braden Heber in that second spot, it just seems like the window is closing for his opportunities, because that offline is going to get even more and more just undrivable throughout the day. That also being said, I don't know if we have enough karts on track to be really drying that racing line, but obviously it won't have a ton of debris on it because drivers have been clearing that off, especially with these rain tires. So could be interesting as they get through a low point of the track there on the exit of turn 5. A bit of a river is starting to form at that section of the track. So if we see some side-by-side action there or some passing, that could throw a wrench in the works. High, wide, and handsome around turn 7 for both of those drivers, trying to find the karting's version of the cushion, I guess you can call it there, but going very wide, trying to find any ounce of grip they can. It seems like Braden Heber has found it because he is right back on the back bumper of Lynch.
All staying close up right now. Hebert now trying to run almost like the boards, as you mentioned, with the cushion, but it's going to be tough since there's no wall to run up against in terms of that cushion, you'd have to think. But under 90 seconds to go in this one, Heber has a chance here. You can find a way to draft up in amongst the rain here to the back end of Lynch. No doing yet for him, and no doing to be able to get back alongside the kart yet. Still trying to search his way around for a crossover line that isn't coming yet. Under a minute to go.
We'll say Tyler Sims is flying right now in 4th. He's half a second faster than anyone last time by. Went purple at a 49.0. Unable to reset that time and goes half a second slower. So that was kind of a one-lap wonder for the 19 kart, as these two out in front still nose to tail. Can't really separate them. Goldman unable to close in. That being said, though, gained about 10th and 3/4 last time across the stripe. So he is gaining, but with 22 seconds plus 2 laps to go, it could be close if he even gets to the back bumper of the 8 kart.
Oh, and what's this? Slowing down is Lynch. He slows down a ton all of a sudden, and now he's got a problem. Lynch from the lead having to move to the side of the racetrack and now parks it. This coming around with about 3 laps to go. Hebert to the lead as Lynch kicks his kart in frustration.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see there once he starts to get that cart off, what part of the chassis he goes to just look at it. It seems like it just died on him. And obviously, with these heavy rain conditions and how wet it is, the amount of standing water, no amount of air filter cover can keep the water out at this rate, Justin. So, could be some work to do for those guys to get the water out of that Briggs 206.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough break after controlling the race lead, but now it's Heber who is in front. White flag is out rather than 3 to go from the previous time. Final time around for this field as Goldman is now in the popcorn seat. He's closed up a fair bit to this battle. Not able to close up too much, though. He drifted his way through the corner as they worked their way through the puddles. Only half a lap to go for Hebert to close up in this one to the checker flag, or for Goldman to take advantage of any mistakes from that 8 kart. No mistakes coming into the second to last corner. No mistakes heading into the final corner. The checker flag is now in sight. Braden Hebert comes out of the final corner, will come away and take the win in 2:06 light.
Andrew Goldman is going to be a driver to look out for next race, Andrew, because, Justin. Andrew is going to be a driver to look out for next race. He was coming on strong in the final couple of laps there. He was gaining and gaining and gaining on the leaders a couple times, getting about 3 to 4 tenths per lap. There you see unofficial results for 206 Senior Light. Braden Haber taking the win on board that number 8 machine. Then Andrew Goldman, Tyler Sims, Zachary Allen, and Logan Lynch, your top 5. Of course, Lynch with that D and F. We expect him to be in the fight for the win like he was in this pre-final later on when we get to the finals for 206 light. And that is a sad sight to see no matter what day it is. And then you add on the fact that it is pouring rain for that number 12 kart.
So there's going to be a bit of kart cleanup, obviously, after this one. 2 different karts are stopped on their side of the racetrack right now. And so this is going to take a little bit of time, you'd have to think, to get those machines off of the racing surfaces and be able to get them to the garage area to the respective teams. So we're going to take some time here to get themselves prepared here. What do you think we'll see once we get to the finals coming up here now in the next little bit, now that we have a little bit of a breather because of all the karts that have to be pulled off the track?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting with these drivers now having a few laps under their belts of some very difficult conditions, not just for club level drivers, but for regional or national too. It should be fun to watch, Justin, once we get there.
So it's kart cleanup time. Just like that, it's time to bring out the kart trailers. Again, all these drivers will have some time before 206 Cadet gets going for 10 minutes plus 2 laps for their finals. Once again, here today, we are just about all set for those drivers once the karts are off the racing surface here. And I have to say, the camera crews putting a ton of work here today. I'd like to give them a shout out for all the work they've done here for Kart Chaser today, working out of the monsoon conditions. Obviously not easy work to be working in the rain today in conditions like this for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to the hardworking KC camera crew and the a little bit more lucky ones that are up in the booth that are nice and dry, but for everyone who has been on track, huge shout out to them, including the K1 Circuit Whiteland staff.
Let's now get to that cleanup. Let's take a break. More coverage here of the Indy Karting Challenge coming up. You're watching Kart Chaser.
So you finally want to get behind the wheel, huh?
Yeah, I've been shooting for 3 years and I've never got to drive.
Well, you're gonna need some more gear than just your helmet. Why don't you go to shopakr.com. They got their inventory online and they'll ship it the same day if you order before 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
They got shoes,
Yep,
gloves,
yep,
rib protectors.
got those too.
Can they make me go fast?
No.
Here at Acceleration Kart Racing, we've got everything you need to get on track. What happens next? Well, that's on you. Check us out online at shopakr.com.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like $20 a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like $50 a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion Paulie Massimino. Kart rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to K100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson threw on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
The K1 Circuit Semi-Pro League. This is a competitive race series with two classes. Junior Series for those who are under the age of 18, and the Senior Series for those who are 18 or older. If you think you have what it takes, come out and prove your skills on League Night. Both schedules are live on the K1 Circuit website. Your Kart Chaser live feed will resume shortly.
Ready to elevate your racing game? Introducing Apex, your 24/7 personal karting coach. Apex is your ultimate racing companion. Get expert advice anytime, anywhere. From setup tips to mental strategies, Apex has you covered. Fine-tune your car for peak performance. Get personalized advice on adjustments like tire pressure and chassis settings. Apex helps you master the track, from overtaking strategies to wet-weather driving techniques, and to resilience to perform under pressure. Apex keeps you focused, confident, and race ready. Using Apex is simple. Sign up, ask a question, and receive instant advice from top-tier coaches. With Apex, your personal karting coach, you're never alone. Get instant expert advice on everything from setup to technique. Unlock your full potential with Apex.
Karts are now sprinting their way onto the track. It's time to see how 206 Cadet gets itself going here this afternoon, as we are all set to go for our first final of the afternoon sessions. Grayson Wade, followed by Ari Berger. Berger should say will be in that spot. Then James Fox and Patrick McNeely. Harper Fox in fifth. Bo Laser, Diesel Maxwell in the seventh position. just about ready to go to racing once again amongst these karts. So they get all grouped up for the tram lines right now. We've seen how chaotic the last start situation got. Looks like it's going to be a similar case here for these drivers as they get all bundled up and ready to go racing. Green, green, green. We're underway. Once again, it's time for the main.
A lot cleaner of a start that time around for the 206 Cadet drivers. Fox losing a little bit of time as he came across the line in third. One driver going for a spin. That would be the 20 kart of Berger from second. So that is less than ideal for them. That being said, though, Justin, 10 minutes plus 2 laps is a very long time to try and make your way back up the field.
Still going to have to make up all those seconds lost from a spin like that, though. That's going to be the tough thing in that sequence for them. So, all that right now as the drivers get separated at the back of the field with how things are looking out right now. Already 9 minutes to go on the clock. Laser has driven himself all the way to the third position, Bo Laser has, with how things have gone on in that black cart, by the way. So, keeping an eye to see what they're able to do here. As a result, Laser, last time by, was in the 51-second bracket. Now it's Fox going for the race lead. He goes for the send. Fox trying to make it stick. Does. James Fox to the point.
James Fox back in a spot that he knows all too well around K1 Circuit Whiteland, leading the way in the opening stages of this main event for our 206 Cadet drivers. As we'll see, it was 3/10 behind was James Fox last time across the stripe. This time swinging the other way, 4.5 tenths to the good over Weight. 50.1 is the time to beat thus far, as Weight down at the 50.8 right now. It just shows how quick Fox is around Whiteland here, and especially in these cold, tricky conditions.
Yeah, for those wondering what the temperatures are currently looking at right now, it is right now below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It is 47 degrees is the estimate right now, Fahrenheit-wise, around this racetrack. So very cold in the upper moderate to low heavy rain conditions. That may sound like an oxymoron, but that's around the range. This is compared to monsooning conditions. That could make this even bigger of a rain situation. So, all that being said, McNeely has jumped up to third spot with Laser dropping back with some troubles on the last lap. Also dropping back was Smith as he got passed by Berger. So, it looks like Fox setting purple lap times here. The lap times have slowed down significantly from earlier by at least a couple seconds, by the way.
Yeah, Wade going for a half spin there too, just showing how tricky and difficult these conditions are. But the more and more water that gets put on the track, especially with, like we were saying, in the morning sessions, with a fairly newly repaved track with not a lot of cracks for the water to escape through or drain itself out of, it's going to have a lot of standing water on track. And of course, that's not great for your lap times. So we're going to see those start to get higher and higher, I suspect, throughout the day as the rain continues to fall in Whiteland, Indiana. It's not dampening the spirits of James Fox, though. 4.9 seconds to the good of Weight out in the lead, doing a very similar time to his fastest lap of the race. About a tenth off of that is more battling happening in turn 6, the banked corner there in the back section of the track. They'll make their way down the back straightaway into turn 7. Big send there from Maxwell, not Berger, I believe that is, making the pass on Diesel. Maxwell, as you can pretty clearly pick out Diesel with that Mohawk helmet. So put Berger back up into the top 5.
Able to make some swap arounds, yes indeed there. So we'll see if they're able to get things going even more so. Laser can, or better yet, Berger can. Bit of a slow time to the corners, as you see right now with Bo Laser. There's Berger trying to get the run built up now, going inside to the bank curb, in fact. And nothing they can do except let him on go in that sequence with how tricky that is. Side by side on the crossover back, though. Able to get to the poke inside. And now back for the crossover to the other side of the racing circuit. All the way back in front on the pass. Good move once again on the back and forth on screen amongst this pack, amongst your top four.
Yeah, all this battling is one driver around. I think that's Harper Smith around on the entry of turn 9. Back up front, though, battle for that 4th spot between Berger and Laser continues to heat up as they make their way across the river that's flowing in between turns 5 and 6. With all this battling, Justin, his yellow flag is out for, I believe, still Harper Smith off the track. Would have thought that Diesel Maxwell would have been able to get himself into this battle. He was doing very well in Micro Swift earlier on today. Thought he could have potentially got a maiden race win in the Swift competition, but had a little bit of mistake that cost him there. Just seemed really good and quick in these wet conditions, is unable to back that up in 206 Cadet here, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, yes. But still, it's where a lot of the drivers' strengths are being showcased here today in the rain. You have to be adaptable if you want to be some of the best drivers in all of karting, after all. If you want to be able to learn, you have to be able to battle in these conditions. And we're right now seeing those conditions really coming into play here today with 3 minutes to go in this race. Right now, things look to be settling down for Fox. More than a second up last time by. He gained half a second on the racetrack. And McNeely seems to be trying to chip away at the gap. Last time by, he lost 2 more tenths, though, to second.
Yeah, McNeely's kind of been in a state of limbo right now, not really getting pressure from behind or from in front. Battling going on still between drivers further back in the pack. I believe that's Berger and McNeely. Potentially, Justin, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But still, even with all the tricky conditions we got here at Whiteland and these very young drivers having to go at it in a very hard state that they find this track in, still able to go at each other and battle for position.
Yeah, still trying to figure out if they can get more spots here, get more valuable points is the key word here in these karts. As we see some battling and squabbling, see them all trying to battle through the very rainy stuff right now at this point. Still able to hold on defensively on the send attempt that time by. Under 2 minutes to go in this race. Already they have lapped Harper Smith, some side-by-side, now builds up on screen. Grayson Wade had to back out of it. He got squished there that time. It looked like with some of the traffic there, McNeely is not there. That is traffic that's getting squished there.
Yeah, so I mean, with the difficult conditions, some drivers not having a good day of it. That's the 20 kart of Berger, who is off the road in turn 5, and a little bit of debris also on the exit of turn 5 there. Some of the gravel seems like it's been put onto track on exit. So it's one of the many Top Kart machines that is out of this race early, and yeah, it's a lot of water and a lot of moisture off track there. Not happy with that one is Berger, as they'll get them to a safe spot to recover that kart. 30 seconds to go, plus 2 laps, Justin. This race is starting to wind down. That's really seemed like it's been James Fox's from the word go with that 4.6 second gap, but we still have a little bit of potential for battling throughout this pack.
Yes, indeed. You see one kart is indeed off. That is Laser's kart. That is getting the caution flags waved around. Berger has also now been pulled off the racetrack with incidents as these rains build up hard and harder. Should expect to see a couple laps to go here after a crash between the 20 and the 8. See them talking things over right now amongst those drivers at the other end of the racetrack. So running out of karts here on the racetrack on the lead lap with the double sticks in the air.
Yeah, the race of attrition is really starting to kick off here, as I believe they got Berger's kart to the inside of the track, so officials doing a good job of clearing that from harm's way, as Fox's lead has really shrunk over the last lap. He lost 2.1 seconds to Grayson Waite in that second spot. Maybe a potential here for a battle for the win, but it also might have been James Fox just backing down maybe a little bit too much for those yellow flags at a turn 5. We'll just have to wait and see if something's wrong with that number 12 kart.
Coming up to the white flag this time by Fox, needing to close it up if he wants to get up the race win. We've seen some spins before from the race leaders in the final stages in some chaotic moments. Nothing doing today in terms of the chaos, at least up front. They continue to race in near monsoon conditions, as Fox, last time by, was half a second quicker than the rest of his competitors. Nearly sails off the racetrack once again in the descent to the third to last corner. Only a couple more turns to be able to close up this run. James Fox, whenever class he's been in today, has been a rocket ship. Checker flag coming up in hand. It's James Fox who gets the win in 206 Cadet.
And he'll get the double on the day as well, something he was denied of in that opening weekend a couple weeks ago. Hand in the air. He's excited about that one, as they are told to slow down a little bit going into the scales. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of standing water there, so parents and race officials doing the right thing there. But how about it for James Fox? A dominant run for him, not just in this 206 Cadet Final, which you can see the unofficial results for there on screen, but just throughout the day. Fox has been incredible to watch, as the final couple of karts will make their way back into the scale line, have a bit of track cleanup, Justin, as we are starting to count down the classes until this day is over, and that is, again, a very sad sight to see for these cadets.
We'll take a break. Droppers on timeout at one port of the racetrack. We'll get a chance to go back racing after our timeout after this.
Ready to elevate your racing game? Introducing Apex, your 24/7 personal karting coach. Apex is your ultimate racing companion. Get expert advice anytime, anywhere. From setup tips to mental strategies, Apex has you covered. Fine-tune your car for peak performance. Get personalized advice on adjustments like tire pressure and chassis settings. Apex helps you master the track, from overtaking strategies to wet weather driving techniques, and to resilience to perform under pressure. Apex keeps you focused, confident, and race ready. Using Apex is simple. Sign up, ask your question, and receive instant advice from top-tier coaches. With Apex, your personal karting coach, you're never alone. Get instant expert advice on everything from setup to technique. Unlock your full potential with Apex. Your journey to victory starts here. Happy racing.
Colin, I need a new 219 chain. I need a 77 tooth sprocket. I need some more chain lube, and I need it probably as soon as like tomorrow. Dude, are you even listening? Like, we need this to run this weekend.
Want anything else?
What do you mean?
I already got it in the Kart on Acceleration Kart Racing's online store, bro. All orders over $200 get free shipping.
Oh, throw in a set of tires.
Done.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free on orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Shop akr.com.
K1 Circuit, the world's greatest outdoor karting facility, is now open. Open karting and rental session schedules are available online. Rentals will resume today after the race event at 5 p.m. Thanks to Kart Chaser for live streaming the event at K1 Circuit. Your coverage will resume shortly.
Rain continue to pour away as these karts get themselves ready to go for our second race of the afternoon for the finals. 206 Sportsman just about ready to get the command to be able to hit the racetrack with their karts here. Justin Prince alongside Nate Dean here on Kart Chaser as we continue on with the racing. Just finishing up some of the kart cleaning right now. We're across the circuit right now, Nate. And we've seen how intense some of the action was able to get in Cadet. We'll see how intense they get here when they open the gates in the next couple moments in this class.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a race. All these drivers are going to just need to, A, keep it on track as we got more up to get done here for what was a race of attrition, to say the least, for our cadet drivers. And the sportsmen will be well aware of the job at hand. Keep it on track. Keep yourself in a contention spot to try and take the win off of the man you see on screen, just the right of Lincoln Wiley, Daniel Dragunov. Driver has been so dominant today thus far in 206 Sportsman, and especially in the Mini Swift Final earlier on today with that 30-second win. He'll be trying to replicate that, but the rest of these drivers will be doing their best to hold on to the back end of Dragunov.
Just trying to make sure they get all secured for that, absolutely. So, the kart's now being wheeled off the racetrack from the incidents earlier on in the day. From the cadet side of things, that's seen two drivers crash their run. It looks like they're now getting the go-ahead to open up those gates and be able to go racing in this class. 4 karts ready to go in this class. Sportsman, Daniel Dragunov, Lincoln Willie, Chase Call, and Blake Martinez are the 4 that are getting the command to go here. Can anybody stop the 151 is the huge question.
Yeah, if you look at how he's been running today so far, you'd have to say no, but of course, there's a reason we go racing for 10 minutes and the 2 additional laps to determine who stands on that top step, and Dragunov will have to keep it clean throughout that race to be able to sustain that P1 finish that he got earlier on in the day. Moving on to the 206 classes, of course, but going to get into the tram lines and ready to go here, Justin, for our 206 Sportsman Final.
Just about ready to go racing for these drivers. Again, happy with us here on Kart Chaser as we continue on with the action here this afternoon. Green flag is out. We're underway for our second final. And already Lincoln Willie trying to take things away. Does take away the race lead to start. Dragunov feeling a bit of adversity to begin this one, as he gets dropped back quickly by the 44.
It's what you got to do if you're anyone in that challenging pack. Just try and take that lead away as soon as you can. That's what Lincoln did out in front, and the AMAX machine leads the way after that long back straightaway into the new section of the K1 Circuit Whiteland just a few corners ago. He's going to lead lap 1, Justin. But the question is, can he hold off Dragunov for the rest of this race?
I think that's the huge question, absolutely, right now for those drivers at the moment. It's going to not be an easy task to do it for 10 minutes straight. You'd have to think they have 9 minutes to go on the clock right now. Bit of a slide up by Willie. And no close up yet from Dragunov. He actually is losing ground after running away in the last race by 4 seconds. He's dropping back by almost a full second to begin this one. You have to wonder if he's just trying to wind it up, try and get the long run established here for Dragunov.
Yeah, he might be just losing that position at the start of the race. Maybe lost a little bit of confidence in the kart and just slowly trying to get that back as he is closing in on Lincoln out in front. It was a little under 2/10 last time by. Now it's under a tenth and a half with Dragunov going purple that time across the stripe. So the challenge just got a lot harder for Lincoln out in front to try and sustain that race lead, because it seems like Dragunov has found pace underneath that 151.
We know he's had pace. It's just a matter of when he was going to unleash it. Well, he unleashes it now, all the way nearly into the inside curbing as he takes the race lead away. Dragunov to the point, and now looks to take off and run away with that said lead. And now it's going to be the tough thing for Willie is how close can he keep the 151? The answer is he's already lost 4 kart lanes.
Yeah, Willie's just got to hold in there as best as he can to try and hold on to the back end of the 151 of Dragunov, who, like we said, has just been so utterly dominant in whatever class he runs in today. You can see just at a shot there, Colin Martinez making their way through. They're going to be battling for the 3rd spot in the final position on the podium. Chase Call winning that battle for the time being with about 3 seconds between those two, give or take. So you see them on track there. But going back up front, only little under half a second between Dragunov and Willie. We'll see what it is this time across the stripe. 1 second, almost dead, between Dragunov and Willie as Dragunov sets his fastest time of the race, and overall of 48.6 puts the 151 purple.
Yeah, just setting away those personal best lap times right now. They just continue to dominate this race in terms of lap times. Call, mind you, is on his own by 10 seconds. Martinez is on his own by another 11 seconds additionally. So, this is your closest battle on the racetrack as it goes right now with 6 minutes to work with in the day for this class. Looking up at the front straightaway, that time by another 48.7 to a 49 flat. And that straight line speed just seems to be the great thing. Dragunov has been really good corner exit speed this entire day. That seems to be where the big difference is, to be able to get that launch away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's kind of goes what we were saying earlier on in the broadcast of, you know, you can go a lot quicker into these corners. You can send it in there. The tires will stick. It's just not overusing the tire and overworking it too much. And it seems like Dragunov has found that medium happy ground where he's found pace, but he's not abusing that tire like maybe some other drivers are, just giving a little bit too much sidewall into the tire and really just overworking it in these incredibly wet conditions. Maybe that's what Lincoln's doing. He's always had a little bit of an aggressive driving style, not in the bad sense, but just very aggressive with his wheel movements from what we've seen in the past couple of years, at least in IKC and Route 66 Sprint Series competition, but obviously works out for him because he's always a contender in the classes you see him in. Fortunately, Daniel Dragunov seems to be a class ahead of him, 1.9 seconds in front. Expected to build that gap even further, potentially about 2.4, 2.5 seconds between the pair of them. It's 2.3 that time across the line.
Yeah, right now continue to just step away and run away. Seems to be the main focal point here in this one. And mind you, this is important for some drivers, potentially, if they plan to run the full season here at least, is to be able to set momentum for the rest of the campaign. Remember, the next time out for these karts, you don't have an appearance for these drivers until we get all the way to the start of May, on May 10th, actually. So if you want to be able to get a good start here for the championship, if you're running for the championship of the Indy Karting Challenge, is the main thing I'm trying to say here is you kind of need to do well if you don't plan to use the drop today, like most people did.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these drivers won't be back on track until that May date. That being said, though, still have a couple events coming to Whiteland. You have obviously the Route 66 Sprint Series competition. That's going to be live on Kart Chaser, and then CKNA North also coming the weekend after that. So could see a lot of these drivers giving their hand at regional racing. So it's not going to be a month away from the track for a lot of these guys and girls. They'll have a different flavor of race series to experiment with in the next month before we see them back for the third round of the Indy Karting Challenge. But still out in front, though, Dragunov, a driver who we've seen in the other two series that we mentioned, out in front and showing his pace, 2.7 seconds to the good of Willie Still, and building on that gap 10th by 10th.
Yeah, just continue to stretch out and run away. Seems to be the main talking point. You can really say there's not much else you can really say with Dragunov and Willie with how things have gone right now at the moment in these karts. But to each its own when it comes to these drivers, to say the least, in terms of the racing. Sometimes you see these gaps build up in races like this, and we see driver strengths being showcased here in terms of adaptability, as touched upon here today with the different racing lines they have to be able to try and go around compared to normal here at this racetrack. So at this point, too, it's going to be interesting, too, what the rest of these finals look like in the next little bit. I will say here, Nate, in the next little bit, especially knowing that we've seen some good battles, but we've seen a lot of that separation carry over from the morning sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think is Lincoln Willie going very wide and letting the rear end go out there throughout turns 8 and 9. You have to think that the classes coming up will be keeping a keen eye on the track and on the coverage on the YouTube stream to see what the track's doing, where it's quick, where the puddles are starting to form, because obviously that with that one very quick warm-up lap, you're not going to get all the reconnaissance you want and all the information you would like, as this track is continuing to evolve throughout the day. So the track that, let's say, the junior or the 206 Lights raced on is going to be vastly different to what it is now. That the Sportsman drivers are having to deal with right now. That's Chase Call in the Energy Corsa chassis in third, the final driver on the podium. 29 seconds back from the race lead, but still a podium place nonetheless for Chase Call. And of course, we have Martinez running in fourth, Willie in that second spot, trying to hunt down Daniel Dragunov, 5.3 seconds back last time across the stripe, as clock will hit 0 in a couple of moments' time, at least on our timing and scoring end. So any moment now we'll be seeing sticks in the air, 2 to go for Daniel Dragunov.
See the flagman in the right corner of your screen as you see them drive away. Some of these drivers, you see just how calm and serene some parts of this track look until you remember it's actually pouring outside. Some people like the calmness of the rain. It's 2 laps to go being signaled now to the drivers. Only 2 laps to go in this race to be able to close out what's been a stellar one for the 151. Dominating performances have been the headline of the day. That's what you can really say coming up to the white flag this time by.
Yeah, Dragunov has done exactly what he needs to, both in the morning and afternoon groups, potentially get that double victory. Bit of lap traffic for him here as we pick him up on Martinez out of turn 9 as time winds down for Daniel Dragunov. White flag in the air. 1 more lap to go. He's had a few hiccups across the past couple of races for him in terms of just a little mistake here and there. So hopefully for Daniel Dragunov's sake, keeps all 4 wheels on the road and going the right direction on this final lap.
That's got to be the hope, right? Is be able to keep the tires together, keep the racing wheels together on the racing surface. The way things are looking here. But for Dragunov, another dominating performance. He ran away from everybody the last time he was on the racetrack. It's another double victory day for the 151. Coming to the checker flag, Sportsman goes the way of Daniel Dragunov. He gets the win by a sizable margin over Lincoln Willie.
Yeah, Willie will be a little disappointed with that one. Seemed like he had pace at the start of the race, but just wasn't able to sustain it for the entirety. Now you see your unofficial results from 206 Sportsman. Daniel Dragunov taking that win by just over 8 seconds over Lincoln Willie. Chase Call is the final kart to take the checkered flag, still waiting on him, but he will finish third because Blake Martinez also a lap down, already crossing the line, so that's locking out your provisional podium before post-race technical inspection.
So let's look top to bottom at the running order in this one for our, what is second final of the afternoon for our competitors. That leaves us with just 3 left on the day. For the drivers can try and get themselves warm and out of the rain clouds in this one. And you can see some of the preparation going to get underway in the tech shed. You see some of the drivers and some of the team members trying to keep themselves out of the cover of the rain clouds still. And it looks like we have a second kart for the 206 Masters. This could get interesting to see what happens now after a start and park situation or a green-white checkered situation in the last one. This time, we'll see what they're able to do with these 2 karts on the track. A mano-a-mano type of race about to break out here. They get all sorted out and ready to go racing. Green, green, green. Troy Tony has now made his way onto the racetrack. It's off and away in this class. Tony coming out after not taking a part in the heat race. Interesting enough, and he's already parking it?
I think he's already parking it, Justin.
He is a championship competitor, so I guess he needed the points.
I mean, it's fair if you just want the championship points. I mean, it's second place, so it's still a decent points day if you want that. And honestly, doing 10 minutes plus 2 laps in monsoon conditions doesn't seem like the most fun thing to do. So him taking those championship points, packing his cart, and going home, seems to be what he's doing. It's going to be another green-white checkered for the Masters class here, so we'll be seeing checkered flag next time by.
Chris Whitaker, again, is the leader coming around to the white flag and just needs to take the checker to end this one off after so much excitement to see a second kart. It's just about lonesome driving now to be able to bring this class on home. On the bright side, it means more preparation for the next class pretty quickly. But Whitaker still came out to race and still having some fun in the end on the way to racing in this one. He'll take the checker flag this time by. Coming around here, no issues. Whitaker takes the checker flag and picks up the victory in the 206 Masters.
Yeah, not a lot to say there. Whitaker taking the win and with only 2 karts there. Gonna move on to the 2 classes that honestly I've been looking forward to the most today. The finals for 206 Junior, followed by the 206 Light Division. A lot of talent in both of those, especially in this junior class with how close it's been over just the 2 race days we've had so far in the 2025 Indy Karting Challenge season. They're on track, ready to go in these very hazardous conditions out in the rain. There you see Thomas Anthony will lead us to the green for this final for our 206 Junior drivers.
206 Junior will see Anthony, Patton, Benjamin, Lampin, the top 4, then Dunn. Then it's Stewart, Santos, then a DSQ, a disqualification for Lucian Laser in the last race. See Laser have to come from the tail if he does indeed make the start here. Already near contact, trying to get lined up from the tram lines. And we're underway in our next grouping. 206 Junior is underway with some side-by-side of the back, the front single file.
Yeah, the mid-pack kind of going at it there. The front of the field getting the memo not to fight too much. Thomas Anthony will have Evan Patton behind. The 2 AMAX teammates might be able to work together just a little bit to build a gap to the rest of the field. And Dunn, Benjamin, Santos, your top 5 last time across the stripe. That being said, Santos already moving down into the 7th spot, just from what we can see here. At a turn 9, they come, and we'll get a refresh on the timing and scoring page to see where they all stack up. More battling happening between Carson Benjamin and Lazier for that top 5 positions. Thomas Anthony, though, leading the way by 7/10 over teammate Patton, then Dunn, Benjamin, and Laser.
See those top 2 pulling away right now for the time being. Patton tries to pressurize Anthony, then you have the whole battle pack. It's formed up behind them at the moment. See some side-by-side forming up for a split second. Patton on a poke. Anthony holds on for now as he nearly sails it off the racetrack. Able to keep it on the pavement, though, as they continue to squabble fiercely for third.
Yeah, battle for third heating up, but it's not really what you want to be doing right now, guys, allowing the 2 teammates to get away out in front. That being said, though, Benjamin did gain time on Patton, and Patton gained a lot of time on Thomas Anthony, almost 0.3 of a second. Benjamin going purple last time across the stripe by quite some margin over the 2 drivers in front of him. It was a 49.1 for Carson Benjamin on that Kubica kart in third, leading Lazier that you can see on screen there. In front of him, as it looks like Laser try to move into turn 7. Not really what you want to be doing at this stage. That being said, though, gets the move done. That is huge for Lucian Lazier. Move from 4th to 3rd. But the duo out front, Justin, aren't setting the world on fire as things stand. Thomas Anthony went purple there for a second, but Lazier took that right back, even though he made that pass on. Carson Benjamin finding 3/10 on Evan Patton, as it seems like Lazier and Benjamin are steamrolling towards the front of this field.
Yeah, well, lots of squabbling forming up, absolutely. Good charge from Laser with the purple laps. Going to make things very interesting, absolutely. See if he's going to be able to get further. Remember, he was about third before the DSQ last run as well. So, all of them all getting sorted together here. Benjamin still holding on to that fourth position as they make their way around the racetrack with less than 7 minutes to go. That time by, fastest car on the racetrack was Laser again. Laser is a man on a mission.
Absolutely. Loves the wet conditions, does Laser, as Carson Benjamin fell off 7/10 of a second, must have made a mistake or just unable to hold with the pace of Laser. You can see Thomas Anthony really getting out wide there, and a lot of hop coming from that Coyote prepared by the AMAX squad that are, of course, local here to K1 Circuit Whiteland. Same can also be said to the New Gen Motorsports camp that Laser is pitting with, that gold chassis, of course, being one of the options New Gen presents for these drivers. Gaps starting to come down. Laser again, fast time of the race, gaining a little under 2/10 of a second on Patton, while Patton also closing the gap to Thomas Anthony after setting his personal best. There you can see they're starting to work together, towards the front of the field of Thomas Anthony, but still 5 minutes left to go as Laser up the inside of Patton doesn't quite get it done. It's a bit of deja vu from what we saw with him and Benjamin just a few laps ago, as they're going to have to be careful not to fight too much. He's going to go to the inside line on Patton to try and get the job done. Side by side down the front straightaway. Who's going to back out first through turns 1 and 2? Side by side doesn't always work. Give it to Laser up into that second spot.
It's not fully done yet. Now it is. Able to close the door in the midst of the opening corners after some drop back there. So now Laser has one thing to set that pointer to. Up to Anthony, and he's got less than 5 minutes to close up about 1 to 2 seconds to get up to the 317 cart. Easier said than done, you'd have to think, to be able to do that right here. But we've seen crazier things happen here today.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen drivers with much bigger leads than what Thomas Anthony have lose it. And with 4 minutes to go, time is starting to tick down for Laser and Patton to really start to put their differences aside and just work together to get themselves to the back end of that 317 machine piloted by your race leader, Thomas Anthony. 1.1 seconds, the gap that continues to come down lap by lap, but only by very small margins between Lazier and Patton, depending on who leads that charge towards Thomas Anthony, who still has that 1 second buffer out in front of this 206 Junior main event. It's going to be about 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go as the leaders cross the line. As you see, bit of a battle pack forming further back. One driver slow out of turn 9. I believe that was Laser, who must have made some sort of mistake there, is now down 3.5 seconds. He lost 4.1 seconds last time by to Evan Patton. So obviously not what you want to do, as Patton now doesn't have a dancing partner to try and catch up to his teammate Thomas Anthony, who has that 1.7 second gap now. So if you're Thomas Anthony, Justin, you're feeling pretty good about the gap you have built thus far, but still you got to keep your head down and make sure you keep it on track.
Just got to be able to make sure you don't loop it around while on your own. Absolutely. So Laser losing tons of time with some potential at the off tracks here with the slippery conditions. And that's really now factored into what was looking a potential chance to close up, has now flown out to the wayside. It will take a Herculean effort for Laser just to get back up to second spot after that one. Carson Benjamin, by the way, amongst those that's really lost time with mistakes as well after starting towards the front in this final. Take a look at Laser once again. Right now, needing to close up 2 seconds to get back up to P2. In 2 seconds, in 2 minutes, is going to be extremely difficult to be able to do. He's going to have to be like a second a lap quicker to have a true shot here. Patton is closing up a little bit to Anthony. Just a little bit, though. Not enough to be able to pressurize 317.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were saying that Laser needs some huge margins to close up to Patton in second. He found 0.8 of a second last time by and half a second this time across the stripe. So the gains are there, maybe not at the rate he quite needs to get to Patton and have a few opportunities at it, but he'll most likely get to the back end of Evan Patton towards the tail end of this race. That being said, though, Thomas Anthony continues to put on a clinic out in front. The 317 machine is just enjoying a day of fresh air in front of him, not having to follow in anyone's tire tracks, leading the way with about 1 minute and 2 laps to go at this point. Should be about 4 to go as he crosses the stripe to complete yet another lap. Puts them on lap 10 for this 206 Junior main event. Looking at times, it's still coming down between Laser and Patton, so the battle for second is surely still on, even if it seems like the battle for the lead won't happen.
Yes, indeed, with only 30 seconds or so to go on the board. Anthony just needs to be able to keep it clean for another 3 laps or so to be able to solidify that spot. Right now, Laser not able to close up too much right now. That margin has closed up a fair bit this lap, though, with Anthony slowing down. And now some drivers slowing down a fair bit right there. Thomas Anthony, now his gap under 2 seconds. That was lap traffic, rather, of Santos. That was slowing down a fair bit to the right side of the racetrack in a similar colored kart. So, coming up to 2 laps to go.
Yeah, absolutely. With Santos dropping back as a lap kart as the same team as both Anthony and Patton. Got a little confusing. Yellow flags in the air, though. Almost thought that was for Thomas Anthony. We'll have to see what driver is off in the wayside through here. There you can see a driver that is off, kind of beached there. It's the 49 machine of Maximus Stewart in 7th at the moment. He will continue to drop down, probably going behind Nico Santos at this rate. 2 to go. This time by for Thomas Anthony. Looking at the timesheets, everyone's still fairly separated. Lazier is 4/10 back from the second spot and could be reclaiming that in a few moments here. There you can see the gap that Thomas Anthony has built, and there you can see the battle for second between Evan Patton and Lucien Lazier. Up the inside goes Lazier in turn 7, gets the job done. Patton's not going to have it, though. Up the inside of 8. Amax back into second, still side by side as they make their way onto the front straightaway. Crossover move from Lucien Lazier is going to get a little bit bound up on exit. I think Patton will have it as they come across the line. He doesn't. Lazier takes back second here, Justin, as this battle continues to rage on in the final lap.
Final time around as Anthony runs away with the race lead. They scrap it out for second still. Right now, Lazier trying to pull away from Patton, all while Anthony tries to cruise off into the rain puddles. Lazier trying to hold on for any charges from Patton. No charge back from Patton. All that's with the 317 about to celebrate. One more corner for Thomas Anthony. He makes his way around the high side of the racetrack, avoids all the puddles, and goes to victory lane. Thomas Anthony takes the checker flag over Lucien Lazier, and then Evan Patton, your third spot.
Yeah, how about it for Thomas Anthony? Did exactly what he had to do. Wasn't the quickest kart on track in that final by any means, but just stayed out of trouble and stayed consistent. That's the huge thing you have to do in these junior races, especially when you're in a rain-soaked K1 Circuit White.
It's going to be interesting to see how they close out the day. We've seen a lot of entertaining racing here, Nate, despite the rainy conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's maybe not the pack racing that we've come to expect, especially with the 206 classes here at K1 Circuit Whiteland, but it's presented its own version of challenges and difficulties that have been thrown at these drivers today. That's been very fun to watch them tackle some monsoon-like conditions here at K1 Circuit Whiteland. And like you said, only one more class to go for the second round of the 2025 IKC season. 206 light, and some of the best 206 drivers in the state of Indiana getting set to do battle for the final main event of the day.
Absolutely. Just getting in position and ready to go. Before we get that command to go, just waiting for a couple more things before they get going. It looks like on the racetrack. See some of those drivers right now in the garage area waiting for the command to go out those gates to be able to get us racing. Braden Haber will be on the pole. Andrew Goldman in second. Tyler Sims in third. Zachary Allen in fourth. Logan Lynch in the fifth position. Colton Kelly in sixth. Levi Wilbur seventh if they start. Kelly and Wilbur are listed as DNSs from the previous race. And there they go. Onto the track they go. And remember, Lynch is going to be someone to keep an eye on after setting the pole time, then having that kart break down. If we do see Lynch on the racetrack here, he's going to be having a race with a vengeance.
Yeah, absolutely, he will. It's going to be a rough battle through the field if they get their way on track. Of course, with these wet conditions, making it a lot harder to pass around K1 Circuit Whiteland, but we'll just have to wait and see as they get set and ready to go on the tram lines.
Just need a compressed together for the tram lines as they get the pump the brake warning. And now they've pumped together and are ready to pump the throttle. It's our final of the day. It's 206 Junior. And they are off and away for the final race of the day. Hebert leads things off up front as they battle it out for second. All of them trying to stay single file as they get ready for Sector 2. And one kart has crashed into the barrier. They keep going, though. A second kart has spun. So already, drivers behind Goldman having some issues, believe that might have featured a couple drivers like Sims and Allen possibly having some problems at the back. We'll have to make sure once they come to the stripe.
Yeah, we'll see once they cross the timing and scoring beacon to get official idea on who those were. That being said, though, Braden Heber out in front, leading the way, as he so often does here at the IKC by a few tenths over Andrew Goldman, then Tyler Sims running in that third spot, and then Tyler Sims running in second, then Andrew Goldman in third, and that was Zachary Allen and Logan Lynch getting collected there in turn 5. As it seems like Andrew Goldman might have had some sort of mistake through the cut through. He fell back hard into the clutches of Allen and Lynch that time by.
Yeah, Lynch definitely getting held up with the spinner. Allen was the one who went around in that sequence. So Tyler Sims trying to pressurize the 8 up front with some big-time deficits behind him on the racetrack as a result of those slip and slides in the opening 3 or 4 corners. See the difference right now, about 2 to 3 seconds between second and third already. Sims, 50.7, 7 tenths quicker for Heber last time by.
Yeah, it's an impressive gap, especially this early on in the race. If you're Sims, you don't really want to see that, of course, as now you're just seeing that time slip away, especially at such an early stage of the race, it puts you back as a driver, and you almost have to do just a mental reset to get yourself back in a position to where you can get your head down and try and fight your way forward. But it's definitely going to be a bit of a mountain to climb for him, losing that 7/10 last time by to Heber, who did set fast time.
Yeah, right now Lynch has already closed up to Goldman just about on raw pace. Last time by, he was nearly as quick as the race leader in terms of lap 50.2. This time by, lost a few tenths to the race leader and to Goldman in general, though. Still 7 minutes or so to be able to try and do something here, to be able to get on the podium. That's the main thing as you look at your front runners. Sims is gradually losing touch to that 8 kart.
Yeah, Sims losing a little under a 10.5 last time by, and just got to be careful not to allow that to continue, because like we've seen, especially in the morning group, Braden Heber isn't invincible, having that engine issue in the pre-final of 206 medium. Again, with this long race and a lot of standing water, a lot of rain continuing to fall down, engine issues could hit anyone in this field like it did last race with Logan Lynch, who seemed like he could be in with a shout for the win in that one, and then pulled off early on the exit of turn 9. That time by, Heber putting half a second on Tyler Sims down in second. So the Heber Masterclass continuing here in the final for our 206 Senior Lights.
Yeah, masterclasses all throughout the afternoon at this point. That's the main storyline in the rainy conditions at this point here in this one. Just have to finish out strong over the next 6 minutes to be able to finish up the day. Goldman right now holding on over Lynch. Lynch has not been able to chew away at the time either for that third step of the podium, has lost ground. In fact, he's now near 3 seconds back with how things have started to stretch out in this one. And you have to say, throughout the day today, we've seen the intense battling. We've seen the ever-growing gaps, as it's not been a pack race type of a day today. Now, these drivers are ready to finish out strong at this point with how things are looking, with 5 minutes to go on the day here in a rainy one, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gets worse for Tyler Sims. Yes, he did lose half a second to the driver in front of Braden Hebert, but Andrew Goldman took a 10th out of him last time by. So the gap is increasing in front of him and closing behind him. It's never a situation you want to be put in. Loses 3/10 last time by, and check this out. He lost a second to Andrew Goldman behind, who goes purple at a 49.3. Andrew Goldman on the number 2 machine is absolutely flying at this rate with a little over 4 minutes and 30 seconds left. So the battle for the final couple of podium spots are not over yet, as it seems like Goldman is really closing in on Tyler Sims, and we could see this battle really start to heat up. He is 2.3 seconds back from Tyler Sims, though, but at this rate, Justin, he's going to be there in a couple of laps' time.
Yeah, right now, just a little bit of time if he's going to be able to get there. That's going to be the tough thing right now for some of these drivers. The personal best still set by Goldman. 4 minutes to go in this one. We'll say, on the bright side, rain seems to be letting up a little bit to end off the day. So we'll see if that helps out with the grip levels just a touch bit. It's still going to be soaking wet in general with those hydroplane sections and puddle buildups. Sims on screen, still maintaining at the moment where he needs to be if he wants to be on the second step on the podium in this one here. Tyler Sims looking very solid in his kart.
Yeah, Sims losing a little bit of time to Goldman last time around. Heber not having a good lap last time across the stripe. He lost 3/10 to Tyler Sims, and Andrew Goldman resetting fast time. He's into the 48, so 48.972 for Andrew Goldman. Fastest kart on track, as Tyler Sims also did put in his personal best last time, but 0.4 slower than what Andrew Goldman is doing. That gap between second and third now down to 1.9 seconds, as that gap was almost about 3.5 just a couple laps ago. We're definitely going to get that battle for second, as if Andrew Goldman continues at that pace. We'll just get another update of where that is as they come across the line to complete another lap. Heber there, then Sims, then Goldman across the line. Sims, again, losing time to Heber and to Goldman as Goldman continues to close in that gap. It's now 1.7 seconds between second and third now, Justin.
1.7, but it's going to have to go down even quicker if he wants a shot. Only 0.2 picked up last time by for Goldman on Sims. 2 minutes to work with before we get to the lap total to be able to finish up the day. And right now, Goldman is in a good groove in that backdrop. You see him right there, just closing on down, chopping bit by bit. It's going to require even more time pickup this time. This time by, for reference, the leader's running a 50 flat. That's going to be down to 2.2 seconds for the lead. Goldman went down to 1.1 back of Sims that time by.
This could get interesting still. We saw in some earlier races today the leader throw away a race win in the final couple of laps of the race. Heber is losing time. He lost almost half a second that time. Of course, he does have that 2.2 second advantage. He might be managing the race just a little bit, not pushing very hard. Also being said, Andrew Goldman has brought that gap down to 1 second now, 1.1, 0.6 faster than Tyler Sims last time across the stripe. But like you mentioned, Justin, the time is starting to tick down for these drivers, and the opportunities are starting to get slimmer and slimmer. About 3 or so laps to go, depending on when they come across the stripe next time. Looking at gaps, Tyler Sims, for the first time, actually builds a little bit of a gap on Andrew Goldman. He found a little under 0.2 of a second to the pursuing number 2 kart. Sims, though, again, losing time to Braden Heber, as it seems like Heber did a little check over the shoulder, saw they were getting a bit too close, and has turned on the afterburners once again.
Going to be close on time to see if we get 3 laps or 2 laps to go on the board, it looks like. Only 10 seconds on the clock this time by for Heber through the corner. Looks like he's going to get the 3 to go signal based on where they are on the racetrack. Double sticks, in fact, 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go on the day. Is Heber ready to close down this day? Goldman only within a second of Sims at the moment. As we see some of the karts get really separated out, that's Allen. That is laps down, about to be a lap down with how things are looking here. There's your race leader in the backdrop, just having a fun old time out front.
Yeah, Braden Heber probably just having, like you said, a fun time of it at this point, just enjoying the challenge that is rain racing, is that number 8 kart. Time starting to wind down, both for his dominance in this race and for the chances for Andrew Goldman to catch up to Tyler Sims. White flag in the air this time by, as it is now half a second between Goldman and Sims. Goldman going purple, Justin, and we are probably going to see a battle for second on our hands if that pace continues, but it's going to be a late lunge from Goldman to try and get up into that second spot, as you see them right there on the back straight.
Down to the final time around for Braden Heber. Heber outright dominant pace today. Now closing up. Sims already closed up by Goldman as they reach traffic. And Goldman might be able to close up with that checkup with Allen. Not going to be enough. Braden Heber comes out of the final corner. Coming to the checker flag. Braden Heber comes away with the win. It's a double win day for the 8 kart. Tyler Sims and Andrew Goldman, the top 3.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers doing that double here today. Braden Heber being one of them, dominant throughout the classes that he ran between the medium and the light categories. How about it for him? 2 seconds at the end. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it doesn't tell the whole story of the race of him just managing that gap and just having those incredible opening laps that brought him to the lead. Sims second, then Goldman, Lynch, Allen, your top 5 in your 206 senior light final, of course, being unofficial results. And Justin, that concludes the second round of the IKC here at K1 Circuit Whiteland.
What are your thoughts on the day?
Yeah, it was cool to see these drivers get a little bit out of their element. I don't know how much of them have been in, like we've been saying, monsoon-like conditions. It's a very challenging track that they had to endure today. A lot of them rose to the occasion in spectacular form. Hope to see them more throughout the IKC season. I would love to see a few of these guys who dominate come out for the Route 66 event in just a couple of weeks' time and go against the Midwest's best for that race, April 25th through 27th. You can also catch that live on Kart Chaser along with the rest of the Route 66 Sprint Series events for 2025. But I digress. An amazing day of racing, Justin. Glad I could call it with you, and cannot wait for round 3.
On that note, it's time to say goodbye. I'd like to thank you for tuning in for today's coverage of the Indy Karting Challenge from K1 Circuit Whiteland. For Nate Dean, for the rest of our crew, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your day. You've been watching IKC from Whiteland, Indiana.